there are places in this world no one dares to claim. Houses where the air itself feels wrong, where the shadows don't just move, they follow. For years, these homes have stood empty, but don't be fooled. They're not abandoned. They're waiting. Imagine stepping through a door, expecting safety, but feeling the floor breathe beneath your feet. What if every creak, every whisper, wasn't just in your mind? What if the house knew you? Watched you? And what if it decided you'd never leave? Tonight, we enter 3 houses where nightmares don't end when you wake up. Will you face your fears, or will they face you? Welcome to the darkest corners of the world, where the line between what we know and what we fear begins to blur. Tonight, you'll hear of 3 houses, each with its own story, its own victims, and its own rules. One house whispers your name, drawing you deeper into its grasp. Another locks its doors and refuses to let you leave, no matter how hard you fight. And the third? It doesn't wait for you to enter. It comes for you. What would you do if you stepped into a house that didn't want you to leave? Or worse, what if you never even realized you were being hunted until it was too late? Story 1: The House That Whispers. In the heart of this small town sits a house that most people pass by without a second thought. Ordinary during the day, it's only after nightfall that it reveals its true nature. They call it the Whispering House. Emily had been searching for a fresh start after a painful divorce. When she found this house, spacious, affordable, and close to town, it seemed like the perfect opportunity. But some opportunities come with hidden costs. The house had a peculiar feeling, like stepping into a room where a conversation had just ended. Emily shrugged it off as the quirks of an old home. But Sam? He knew better. It started softly, barely audible, a whisper. At first, Emily thought it was the wind slipping through the cracks in the old windows. But then she heard it again. Clearer. Louder. Emily panicked. Sam? What are you doing? He points upward, his voice trembling. They want us to go up there. Emily knew she had to leave, but the house had other plans. Every time she tried to pack, something stopped her: missing keys, a dead car battery, even sudden migraines that left her bedridden. Sam. They don't want us to go. Emily grabs him and runs down the stairs, the whispers growing into screams behind them. Doors slam shut one by one, forcing them to navigate through the house like a maze. Finally, they burst through the front door and into the night. Emily and Sam have moved into a small apartment in a neighboring town. The atmosphere is lighter, almost hopeful. Emily smiles as she watches Sam play with his toys in the living room. Emily thought they were safe. She thought they had escaped. But the thing about whispers is, they follow you. Story 2: The House That Doesn't Let You Leave. In the shadow of the Appalachian Mountains stands a house that has lived many lives and claimed just as many. They say once you enter, it decides whether or not you'll ever leave. But for one group of friends, curiosity was louder than caution. The friends are Jess, the cautious, level-headed one. Mike, the overconfident leader of the group. Liz, the skeptic who doesn't believe in ghost stories. Ryan, the comic relief, always cracking jokes to ease tension. Emma, the quiet observer with a growing sense of dread. They were young, bold, and looking for adventure. Local legends about an abandoned mansion sounded like the perfect detour. What they didn't know was that the mansion had been waiting for them. The group arrives at the gate. Mike pushes it open with a groan, the rusty hinges screeching loudly. Behind the gate, the mansion looms, its windows dark and uninviting. Jess, hesitant. Maybe we should just keep driving. This place doesn't feel right. Mike, grinning. Come on, Jess. It's just a creepy old house. What's the worst that could happen? The group laughs nervously as they approach the front door. A crow perched on the roof caws loudly before flying away, its cry echoing unnaturally long. The house. The air is thick and heavy, and their footsteps echo unnervingly in the cavernous space. The mansion's interior is a maze of dark wood, faded wallpaper, and cobweb-covered chandeliers. From the moment they crossed the threshold, the house seemed alive. The doors groaned as they closed, the walls whispered with secrets, and the air felt charged, as though something unseen was watching. Liz shines a flashlight around the room, revealing a grand staircase that seems to stretch endlessly upward. Dust motes dance in the beam of light, and faint footsteps echo from somewhere above. Liz, mocking. Spooky, sure. But haunted? I don't think so. As she speaks, a loud slam startles everyone. They turn to see the front door is shut on its own. Mike pulls at the handle, but it won't budge. Mike, nervous laugh. Guess we're stuck for now. Let's check out the place. Maybe we'll find a way out. Emma, whispering. This house isn't right. It's changing. Ryan jokes to lighten the mood, but his laughter is cut short when he hears his name whispered faintly. He turns to see a shadow dart across the hallway behind him. Ryan. Did you guys see that? Something just... One by one, the house claimed them. It didn't matter how fast they ran or how loudly they screamed. The house had already decided their fate. The curse revealed. Jess and Emma find a hidden study filled with old, decaying books and journals. One journal stands out, a leather-bound diary with a strange symbol etched into the cover. Emma flips through the pages, her hands trembling. Emma, reading. Those who disturb this house will never leave. Their souls are its nourishment, their fear its lifeblood. A loud bang interrupts them as the door to the study slams shut. Jess and Emma hear Liz screaming from somewhere in the house. They rush to find her, only to discover her flashlight abandoned on the floor. Jess, panicked. We have to get out of here. Now. The two retrace their steps but find themselves back in the study no matter which direction they take. The house's layout continues to shift, trapping them in an endless loop. Final survivor. Jess and Emma are separated in the chaos. Emma, now alone, stumbles into a room filled with mirrors. Each reflection shows a distorted version of herself, her face twisted in terror. The house had stripped away everything, her friends, her hope, her sanity. All that remained was fear. Emma sees movement in one of the mirrors, her friends, standing motionless, their faces blank. She turns, but the room is empty. Emma, sobbing. Please, let me go. Days later, the scene cuts to a search party arriving at the mansion. The house is eerily silent, with no trace of the group inside. Their car still sits outside, the engine idling, the driver's door wide open. The house didn't just trap them, it erased them. And now, it waits for its next visitors. But not all haunted houses stay behind. Some follow you, no matter how far you run. Story 3. The House That Follows You. They say every house has a history, but some histories are better left forgotten. Mark and Lisa thought they had found their dream home. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares, especially when the nightmare refuses to stay behind. The couple moves into the house, marveling at the charming details, intricate woodwork, stained glass windows, and antique fixtures. However, there's an unease in the air that Lisa can't shake. Lisa, softly. It's beautiful, but doesn't it feel a little cold to you? Mark, laughing. It's an old house, Lisa. Drafty is part of the charm. As they unpack, the camera focuses on a large, eerie painting left behind by the previous owners. It depicts a stern-looking man in Victorian attire, his piercing eyes seeming to follow them around the room. The house was a bargain, too good to be true. And like all bargains, it came with a price. The camera zooms in on the man in the painting, his eyes almost imperceptibly shifting to look directly at the viewer. Strange things start happening almost immediately. Lights flicker, doors creak open on their own, and Lisa keeps finding cold spots in the house, no matter how high they set the thermostat. Mark brushes off her concerns, but one night, he wakes up to a faint tapping sound. He looks toward the bedroom window and sees a shadowy figure standing outside. When he gets up to check, there's no one there, but the tapping continues, now coming from inside the room. Mark, whispering. Lisa, did you hear that? Lisa, half asleep. Hear what? Mark turns back toward the bed, but for a split second, he sees the shadow standing behind Lisa. He blinks, and it's gone. The house was alive, and it had chosen its target. Lisa begins having vivid nightmares of being buried alive. In her dreams, she hears muffled laughter and feels dirt being shoveled over her as she screams for help. One morning, she wakes up gasping for air, her fingernails caked with dirt. Mark finds scratch marks on the bedroom floor near her side of the bed. Lisa, crying. It's not just dreams, Mark. Something is wrong with this house. Mark, shaken. We'll leave. Tomorrow. I'll pack everything, this place isn't worth it. They leave, but it doesn't end. The couple hastily moves out, leaving most of their belongings behind. Their new apartment is bright and modern, a stark contrast to the old Victorian house. For a moment, they feel safe. But what if it wasn't the house that was cursed? What if it was something darker, something tied to them? A week later, Mark sees a shadow flicker across their living room wall. He brushes it off as paranoia, but that night, Lisa hears the same tapping sound they heard in the old house. Lisa, terrified. It's here, Mark. It followed us. Desperate, they contact a medium who agrees to visit their apartment. The medium performs a seance, her face growing pale as she senses the energy around them. It's not the house. It's you. Whatever you disturbed there has attached itself to you, and it won't let go. As she speaks, the room grows colder, and the faint sound of laughter echoes from the shadows. Mark becomes increasingly paranoid, convinced that the shadow is always watching him. One night, while washing his face in the bathroom, he looks up into the mirror and freezes. In the reflection, a shadowy figure stands directly behind him, its glowing eyes locked onto his. Mark spins around, but the room is empty. When he looks back at the mirror, the figure is closer. Mark, whispering, trembling. "What do you want?" The shadow leans in, its voice low and guttural. "Shadow. You." Next was their apartment completely empty. A realtor gives a tour to a new couple, gushing about the apartment's charm. "You're going to love it here. It's a fresh start, full of history and character." As the couple walks into the bedroom, the camera lingers on a faint shadow moving across the wall, accompanied by the soft sound of tapping. Some houses are alive, and some curses never die. And so, the legend continues. Would you take the chance to live in a haunted house, knowing it might follow you forever? Let us know in the comments below, if you dare. If you think the last story was terrifying, you may want to leave now. Because the next house doesn't just haunt the living, it decides their fate before they even step inside. Which story has haunted you the most so far? Is it the whispers, the house that refuses to let you leave, or the shadows that follow you? Let us know in the comments, if you can still type through the chills. Some houses are haunted by tragedy, others by vengeance. And then there are those cursed homes that defy explanation, refusing to let the living rest. The stories we've heard tonight remind us of one thing: some doors should never be opened, and some paths should never be walked. But if you insist on uncovering these dark truths, we'll be here to guide you. If you've enjoyed tonight's stories, make sure to subscribe and join us next week for a journey into the cursed forests, where no one leaves alive.